Hello, I'm Jennifer Pfeffer from Martin Luther King High School as an English teacher and a tech mentor, here to talk about our Google Classrooms as we move into hybrid learning. So you can feel free to pause the video here, but I have some instructional questions that really need to be answered before you think of what you're going to do with your Google Classroom. So the biggest thing is, as we move into hybrid, we know we are seeing students on cohort A on Monday and Tuesday, and we're seeing cohort B on Thursday and Friday, plus those 20 minutes in the morning, and they're now supposed to work independently. And so how are you going to design your lessons? Big things, are they going to have different assignments on different days, or am I going to give them the week to work? Am I going to be flexible with my deadlines? Does my work need to be done in a sequential order? And so as you think of some of those answers, it depends on what you're going to do with your Google Classroom. So with your current Google Classroom, the easiest method to do, and this is actually probably the path of least resistance, is to have shared deadlines and shared assignments for all of your students. This will work well if you are students and your work is not sequential in order. It will also work well if you are okay saying the deadline is Saturday or Sunday for the week. So some really good ideas. Make sure you clearly label your assignments. If they do matter which order that they're going in, number the assignments as well. And then I would recommend setting a consistent deadline. For my class, I'm going to do Sunday evenings just to make sure everybody is on the same page. You can also organize your topics in Google Classroom by the weeks, or whether it's asynchronous or in person. So, for example, here is a sample week where, while they're at home, they're going to be reading the Fallacy of Success article and responding, and they're going to read Chapter 6 of Gatsby. And while they're with me, we're going to do some discussions of critical lenses applying to it. Now, I am, in this case, when I see my students on Monday and Tuesday, they won't have read Chapter 6. And so as I apply my lens, my discussion that we're going to do in class, I know that my cohort A is actually going to have to apply that lens to Chapter 5, and cohort B will be allowed to apply that to Chapter 6. And so if I'm doing it this way, remember that sequentialness is going to be affected a little bit. Okay. Now, let's say that idea you do not like that. It has to be in order. You're a math teacher. They can't do their homework before they learn their lesson. And you want to continue this way. This is where you can flip your classroom. You can post your lecture for them to watch. And then again, I would number it. So number 1 has to be watching this video. Number 2 has to be this assignment. If it has to be in a very specific order. The other option, if you are planning to invite your students to come to a Google Meet while you are teaching in person, okay, so teaching in person and Google Meet at the same time, you would stay in this kind of Google Classroom as well, that your current Google Classroom, because their assignments are truly going to be on the same day. Option 2 is more work for a setup, but it is less you have less things that you have to change as you're going, or less flexibility is required. And this is that you would actually create new Google Classrooms. You would create a Google Classroom for cohort A and a Google Classroom for cohort B, and then you could put the assignment that they had due that day. And so I would recommend, if you are planning on having a daily assignment that is due for the different cohorts, that you do it this way. You can do it based in your old Google Classroom, but you would every single time be individually selecting the students to send the assignments to. Okay. If you're going to do it this way, you make one class that becomes your template, and then you would copy it multiple times. If you are making a new class for each cohort in each period, you'd have 10 new Google Classrooms that you created. The other way I've heard people wanting to set it up is that they kept cohort A in the one that has already been designed. They made a copy of it for cohort B. That's another option. Another thing I was thinking is if you teach the same prep. So for example, I have American literature first period and third period. So and cohort A, I could put together. Now there's only 36 kids in that cohort A, period 1 and 3, and then cohort B, which I will see on Thursday, cohort B, periods 1 and 3 together. So that's another option of doing it. But again, all of this is really, really based on your instructional decisions on how you're going through hybrid. And so I would highly recommend that you think through this, talk about it. Feel free to email me if you have any questions. Thank you. Bye.